Good morning, I'm that dude over there, and I was a 2000s kid. I grew up with Drake and Josh and watched Avatar before it was well appreciated. All this to say, I grew up with the Game Boy Advance, and I cherish that thing, playing my first game and finding my love for strategy and tactical games. But there was one game that I absolutely loved and despised. And that's saying a lot because I had Cubics and I didn't know how to play that game. This game was the Yu-Gi-Oh! Double Pack, containing the Sacred Cards and Reshef of Destruction. Yeah, I was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Kid. Are you surprised? I play Fire Emblem Heroes and get nostalgic for cards like Chaos Emperor, the Dragon of Armageddon, and Starving Venomy Lethal Dose Dragon. While I love the shit out of the Sacred Cards, I could never get past the opening of Reshef. So today, I'm going to show you why it sucked for me and the general problems I had now replaying the game. Hope you enjoy. So after naming our protagonist, we get a lore dump where the god cards get turned to stone and the Millennium items get sent worldwide. We know this because we meet Yugi and not Yugi, I mean the Pharaoh. But we don't care about this because for the next 3 hours, we are stuck dueling 3 opponents to build a better deck. This is because Reshef heard the complaints about Sacred Cards being too easy and decided to swing heavily in the other direction to overcompensate. Our deck? It's trash. The cards we get? Absolute garbage. And worst of all, money gain and duelist level are impossible to achieve. We need to duel thousands of times just to steadily improve our rank and build a semi-usable deck. And that's not even addressing life points. You had to drop everything you were doing just to return home and battle on an even playing field. Your life points carry over from one duel to the next. That is, until you run back home to fill them up. Luckily, I used a patch to make this seemingly infuriating, over-complicated game seem somewhat tolerable, so I didn't have to waste a shit ton of hours to tackle the first portion of the game. But of course, this patch didn't make it that much easier. I would spend half an hour dueling to put me on equal footing to fight either Yugi or Joey. But since Yugi had more valuable cards, we duel Yugi to help build our deck further. Yugi offers the Exodia pieces, Kuriboh, and Spellbinding Circle. They are worth a lot and can be sold for a high price. Exodia we don't care about since Exodia doesn't work well with how dueling works in this game. Spellbinding Circle costs way too much, and Kuriboh is kinda useless, not gonna lie. Shout out to the best early game card, Hourglass of Life. Since we no longer have to worry about life points thanks to the patch, we can get a free power-up at the cost of 1000 life points. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it can make a massive difference. So after constructing our first deck, again, 3 hours into the game, we are finally ready to handle the first challenges of the game. You may think I'm talking about Domino Station, but I'm actually talking about Rebecca. See, if you head to Kaiba Corp instead of going to the train station, you come across the American champion berating Kaiba for tearing up her father's blue eyes. Kaiba forces you to battle Rebecca since he wants to show her how far apart she and him are on a dueling level. However, if you were me back in elementary school and just stumbled into this area, you proceeded to get bodied over and over and over again just because you thought you had a chance if you only drew the right card at the right time. Regardless, after we beat her, we can finally begin the story. Heading to Domino Station, we sign up for the Battle Express, where we challenge everybody before hopping on a train and beating everyone on the train. During this time, we hit up Panic, who is causing a panic on the train. He introduces battlefields as we have to fight on Yami terrain. They usually tell you what stats they power up and down on the field, but I don't remember them all. Luckily, we still can defeat him pretty easily and make our way to the Egyptian exhibit. Now, as far as I can remember, this was my insurmountable wall when I played this game. When I was a kid, I couldn't raise my deck high enough. I kept throwing my head against the wall trying to make progress, but I just couldn't do it. And from here on in, this becomes new water I try to tread through. Also, just a fun little thing I used to do. When I was playing this as a kid, to fully immerse myself, I would do cringe things like come up with my own special attacks, really letting myself get involved. This is the end. I summon Dark Elf in attack mode. Dark Elf, forbidden magic attack. I especially like doing it for Beast of Tall War and the Last Warrior from Another Planet. I know it's a little silly, but it feels good. A little nostalgic even. We defeat the Guardian and reclaim the Millennium Necklace, where we finally learn part of the game's plot. Since I don't feel like talking about the entire story, I'm just gonna focus on me bitching about the game. Because we immediately have to start grinding before we can return the necklace to Ishizu. Boy, am I glad that I have little Muto here to help me get better cards. I think I would have wanted to Kashoot myself if I had to do this with Duke or Tristan. Or God forbid, do this without the patch. I never do anything like this without the patch. So after farming Exodius and spellbinding circles for like a half an hour, and finally saving Ishizu, we go on to finally start our world journey to collect the remaining Millennium artifacts to restore the God cards. We start at the Domino Pier after another hour of just pure grinding. We duel the surrounding duelists before saving Mai Valentine from this guy named Jean. He wants Mai's hand in marriage, and honestly, can you really blame him? Mai is a fierce duelist with a soft side. And of the original cast of duelists for the OG series, your only other option was Taya. And no offense to Anzu fans, but she is very milquetoast. Probably the most milquetoast cheerleader of them all. Anyway, we beat Jean, then challenge Mai for the fun of it, before fighting the guy in the back. He gives us the Millennium Key, which allows us a brief conversation with Shadi. After delivering the key to Ishizu, we restore Slifer the Sky Dragon from stone, and the game suggests we throw it in our deck. I, however, disagree full-heartedly. The God cards aren't the greatest, especially when trying to get the cards on the field can be incredibly tough, and Slifer especially isn't worth the hassle just to put on the board. After watching Tristan and Duke do a thing with Mai, we head off to our next location of the Catacombs in Italy. We meet Bones there, who offers to take us to the item in exchange for a duel. We quickly beat Bones and head to the back where we challenge the next Guardian for a Millennium item. We get the Millennium Ring and have a brief conversation with Yami Bakura before returning it to Ishizu. She tells us to head to the Great Wall of China, where we duel against Para and Dox in a tag duel with Kaiba. I love tag duels in concept, but tag duels in this game is just having an NPC do a separate battle. I think it's for the best, but I still wish for a proper tag duel that isn't in Duel Links. Anyway, we fight our next Guardian, and bro, did he even have a chance to play? Mirror Force was set, and all our cards completely washed him. When we get the Millennium Eye, we learn that Pegasus is the antagonist. Ishizu revives the next God card, and Kaiba takes Obelisk without giving us a chance to earn it. And before we can continue our scavenger hunt, we now have a brief moment of filler to take care of Joey's sister. Off we go to Canada, where we have to help Rex Raptor take care of some Neo Ghouls in order to fight the next Guardian. And before we continue, one thing I really like about these Guardian fights is that they tend to have a theme with them, using a different element on top of Light and Dream monsters. We get the Millennium Rod from this one, which allows us a brief talk with Merrick. Ishizu tells us our next location to go is the Galapagos, and here we run into a roadblock of the sea kind. Like with the sacred cards, Mako is just an incredibly powerful opponent, and it feels like you have to get the right draw to beat him. So you know what that means. More grinding! And once we manage to put Jirai Gumo in our deck, we beat the shit out of the Waterman. But he isn't the only one here, cause Weevil Underwood is also here. But unlike Mako, this guy is much easier to navigate and beat the fuck up. We go to fight the Guardian, but come across Atem asking for the remaining Millennium items. We know as the audience this can't be Yami Yugi because of how the puzzle works. So instead, we fight the Mimic guy for the Millennium Scales. We speak to Shadi again, and when we return to Ishizu to revive Ra, all the God cards turn back to stone. After confirming that Obelisk turned to stone as well, we then begin the arc of the game where the Neo Ghouls come back. Basically, we go around recruiting everyone to help at Espa Roba's request. The villains got Ishizu, and until we deal with them at Domino, we won't be able to save Ishizu. We start by saving Mai at Domino Pier by dueling Arcana. While he spams the fairy's gift to restore life points, our dark elf manages to sweep him before he can take off with any plan. We save Bones in Italy from being recruited, and this fight isn't any special. But hey, at least Bones helps us. In China, we tag duel with Weevil against Loomis and Umbra. We decide to go after Loomis since it's only fair, and it was a bit tricky with Grand Tiki Elder getting powered up by the Yami field. However, we bait him with Mirror Force multiple times and secure our victory. Off to the land of maple syrup next, where we tag duel with Rex against the ghouls. Another pretty standard fight that ends just as quickly as it starts. Next is Mako in the Galapagos, where we fight against the Slifer guy in the anime. After figuring out his Earth deck, we pretty quickly sweep and get Revival Jam as our reward along with Mako's help. With everyone combined, we have one last thing we need to do, and that's save Espa's siblings from whoever this guy is. I really don't recall. I think he's the guy who plays Exodia against Yugi, but again, I really don't know who this guy is. Espa takes on a 5v1 and we go up against what's his face with Exodia. After a proper thrashing and Espa using Jinzo's Cyper Energy Shock on Jinzo, we go to the Egyptian exhibit to save Ishizu. But we have to go the long way because of course we do, that's for Chef, baby. We find Ishizu being terrorized by Bandit Keith and trade our Millennium Paperweights for your life. Keith reveals he has the puzzle and revives Ra to use in a duel between me and him. And the fight looks tough at first, but who knew one Mirror Force was all that was needed to stop Keith from giving us a proper thrashing? For some reason, Slifer appears to attack Ra, but we don't care about that because Atem's back, baby, which means he's about to do some bullshit to make Keith die. We get Ra back, but Keith decides that dying was too good for him, and he breaks the puzzle. And in the most comedic scene of the game yet, Para or Dox, doesn't matter which, backflips down the stairs and steals the last piece of the puzzle. I say comedic because not only is it next to me, meaning this is my fault for being a stupid idiot and letting him get close, but he also backflips away. Talk about being dramatic. Oh, and if it wasn't funny enough, Mokuba gets kidnapped after the other twin backflips to steal him as well. What in the ever-loving Christ is going on? Anyway, we're told to find Paradox to figure out what's going on. Not to be confused with Para nor Dox, who just stole everything. And he tells us to go wake up Ra since we're nearing the end of the game. So who else do we see but the other Ishtar for help waking the dragon? We battle Odeon, and like before, all it takes is one Mirror Force to completely break the opponent. We then battle Merrick for the right to the god, and this battle sucked. I hate Swords of Revealing Light, and if I got one bad draw, this game would have been finished. But we defeat him and gain the power of the regular god, not Angry God. We still have a little ways to go before we can get that onto the field. We return to Paradox for another duel, and he finally allows us access to Pegasus's island for the endgame, but only because we now have access to the endgame and a password I entered in the terminal that we are able to unlock Angry God. And this card is so good, only because its effect lets you instantly summon normal God to the field for free. The idea being you discard this card from your hand, summon Ra because of its effect, and have more life points than your opponent. Then use Ra's effect to wipe out the opponent by deleting all of your life points -1. Such a good card. Anyway, Pegasus's Island. Just getting there is a challenge since you have to go through a gauntlet of pickle guys just to make progress. And if you leave and come back, you have to fight the pickle guys again. Now imagine doing this unmodded and tell me if it's fair. Anyway, we fight Panic or Mimic for the last time and Joey sacrifices himself to do so. After battling more pickle guys, we get ambushed by Para and Dox, and tag duel with Yugi. However, after pulling a god card out of my ass and winning, Yugi sacrifices himself to keep the duo busy while I take the final charge. And for the first time in the whole game, I'm alone. And boy does it feel weird. But before we can enter Pegasus's castle, we encounter Paradox again. And if this game wasn't long enough yet, we now need to backtrack to all of our friends again to duel them for some bullshit about having friends to guide your way through the castle. Seriously, man? Way to slow down the game's pace. Whatever, we get a second copy of Jinzo from Espa, the Harpy Lady from Mai, the Pumpkin King of Ghosts from Bones, Two-Headed King Rex from, well, Rex, the Legendary Fisherman from Mako Tsunami, and finally Insect Queen from Weevil. And if you think we're done just because we have the sacred cards, that's not the name of the game. Well, you'd be wrong, because now we have to battle pickle guys impersonating our friends and using their decks on Yami terrain. What a great game! After another long gauntlet, we step in just in time to see Kaiba fail to duel his brother, meaning it's up to us to free Mokuba from brainwashing in a duel. And this battle only lasts 3 turns thanks to Heavy Storm. With Mokuba free, Kaiba finally offers his god card if we can beat him in a duel. And Kaiba is an actual demon with the cards. Like, this duel is no joke, but the worst part about it is that if we lose to Kaiba, we have to refight Mokuba. So after our first loss, we don't make the same mistake again. And on our rematch, we defeat Kaiba and earn Blue Eyes White Dragon along with Obelisk the Tormentor, leading us to the final 2 fights of the game, Pegasus and Reshef of Destruction.
He said it! He said it!
These fights are no joke. And like with Mokuba, if we lose the second fight, we have to do it again from Pegasus. Pegasus is already hard on its own. Having Change of Heart, Thousand Eyes Restrict, it makes him a complete dick to go against. But Reshef is another beast himself. Reshef is such a fucking asshole and I hate him. Guy has so many copies of Swords, Mirror Force, Raigeki, and cards that make our deck look like a sham in comparison. Bro can 2-turn us and make us address him as Sir. And it's not like I can grind to be better. Yugi and Joey have gone, leaving only Duke and Tristan. Fucking Tristan to get cards to sell and improve my deck. This is literally do or die, and I am not giving up here until the game is beaten. And so we play again and again until we hit the perfect victory. Our duel with Pegasus starts with Jirai Gumo, followed by Swords of Revealing Light. Pegasus steals Gumo, but we counter with Heavy Storm, followed by an attack from our Giant Flea. If we use our Flash Assailant, we risk the Thousand Eyes Restrict. And what do you know, the Thousand Eyes steals Giant Flea, and we counter with our Assailant taking out the monster. Pegasus tries again to steal using Relinquish, but we counter again with Mirror Force to destroy our former ally. With Pegasus setting up his own swords, we summon our Grand Tiki and set down another Mirror Force for protection. Swords goes down and he tries to steal another monster with Thousand Eyes, but Mirror Force blows him up. We bring out our Dark Elf for a combined attack, and next player phase, we defeat Pegasus with a forbidden magic attack. Reshef time. He sets up his back row and sets a card. We begin by burning Restructor Revolution, followed by a Heavy Storm. We summon Blastsphere, dealing the first blow of damage in the duel. Reshef counters us with Nuvia the Wicked. To prevent a crash, we summon Flash Assailant in defense mode. With no way to get over, Reshef sets a monster in defense. We draw Mirror Force and set it, and then summon Hourglass of Life to power up our field. Reshef triggers Mirror Force, leaving his side completely empty. Hourglass attacks, followed by High Tide Gyojin, and our Flash Assailant, leaving him with barely 100 life points left. He summons his own Flash Assailant to destroy Gyojin, but it's too late. All the cards have been laid on the table, so with one final cry, we point our final command. Flash Assailant! Rob Reshef of his final life points. Reshef of Destruction is not only a fucking nightmare to get through, but is also incredibly boring. Being forced to grind for basically everything is absolutely ridiculous. And if it wasn't for this stupid patch, I would have probably had 10 if not 20 times the recordings I had here. But maybe I'm just bad at the game. And if you could beat the game in less than an hour, I think you're full of shit. But let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe, as it helps idiots like me who suck at promoting videos. And until next time, stay safe out there.